From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Expanding the reach. Now at 4:30, new guidelines from the federal government regarding who should be allowed to receive the COVID-19 vaccine and when.
Indianapolis Public Schools is hosting one of its biggest events of the year. This morning, a preview of the 7th annual IPS Showcase of Schools and how it can help you decide the right path for your student.
And Vice President Mike Pence telling Nancy Pelosi he will not invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office. What that means for the president's last days in office as the House moves one step closer towards a second impeachment trial. Here at 4:30, I want to thank you for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana on this Wednesday. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Megan Shin. Of course, Todd Clausen joins us in studio. Hey Todd, how's the weather looking?
Hey, good morning. You know, yesterday we got the sunshine back. How about that? That helped make everybody's mood a little bit better, I think, across the area. And temperatures got up into the 40s. This morning we are sitting in the 20s and 30s. We're at 29 in Indy, 33 in Lafayette, 32 in Muncie. So it's not as cold as it was yesterday morning. And we're not factoring wind chills that are all the way down into the teens this morning. So it's a little bit of a warmer start, but obviously when we're talking about temperatures below freezing, it's still cold and need to bundle up a little bit, but it is the middle of January now. Here's the view outside. We have clear skies out there. There's still a little bit of moisture that's still suspended in parts of the atmosphere, and that is giving it still kind of a damp feel. On my drive into work, it looked like the roads were a little damp. I didn't encounter any slick spots, though. That was good news, and there's nothing out there as far as precipitation goes. A little more in the way of cloud cover this morning here across northern locales. As we go throughout the day, I think we started off with partly cloudy skies, but the overall trend throughout the day will be for the clouds to increase later on this afternoon. But look at this. We'll be through the 30s this morning, 40 degrees already by the noon hour, with high temperatures today, Lauren, topping off right around 45 degrees.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look at traffic for your commute. This is I-65 and 30th Street. Traffic here north of downtown is moving along up to speed. Right now, I'm not monitoring any crashes around the metro area, so that is great news if you're heading out the door early on this Wednesday. Well, it has been 1 week now since the deadly siege on the U.S. Capitol, and calls to remove President Trump from office are growing.
But overnight, Lauren, Vice President Mike Pence said he will not invoke the 25th Amendment. In a letter to House Leader Nancy Pelosi, the vice president said doing so would not be in the best interest of the country. The letter goes on to say that amendment should not be used as a means of punishment and instead reserved for cases of medical or mental incapacitation. Pence also wrote Congress should focus on smoothing the transition to President-elect Joe Biden's administration. The vice president's letter comes as the House is set to vote on articles of impeachment against President Trump for a second time. And this morning, some top Republicans are coming out in support of the decision. On Tuesday, Liz Cheney said she will vote to impeach. She said this is the third highest ranking Republican in the House. In a statement, Cheney wrote that the president, quote, summoned this mob and lit a flame of this attack. And she adds there has never been a greater betrayal by a president of the United States. Cheney is among at least 3 other House GOP members and more than 200 Democratic members seeking to impeach Trump. A source confirms to ABC News that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell also supported the idea but hasn't committed to his vote yet.
At 4:33, in his first public appearance since the attack on the Capitol, President Trump denounced the impeachment efforts, calling them ridiculous and implying they could provoke a violent response. Speaking to reporters before heading to visit the border wall in Texas, the president called the impeachment a witch hunt. He also said the speech he gave at the rally ahead of the Capitol attack was, quote, totally appropriate.
Millions of our citizens watched on Wednesday as a mob stormed the Capitol and trashed the halls of government. As I have consistently said throughout my administration, we believe in respecting America's history and traditions, not tearing them down. We believe in the rule of law, not in violence or rioting. If you read my speech, and many people have done it, and I've seen it both in the papers and in the media, on television, it's been analyzed, and people thought that what I said was totally appropriate. And if you look at what other people have said, politicians at a high level, about the riots during the summer, the horrible riots in Portland and Seattle and various other places, that was a real problem, what they said. But they've analyzed my speech and my words and my final paragraph, my final sentence, and everybody to the T thought it was totally appropriate.
The president also said he takes no responsibility for those who breached the Capitol, attacked police, and threatened to kill lawmakers, including Vice President Mike Pence and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
And this morning, we've learned that one of the lawmakers who was targeted is Representative Andre Carson. Federal officials say 70-year-old Lonnie Kaufman of Alabama loaded his truck with an arsenal of guns and bombs and parked about a block from Capitol grounds. 11 homemade bombs, an assault rifle, and a handgun were found in Kaufman's truck as the attack unfolded. In court Tuesday, prosecutors also presented a handwritten note. In it, Kaufman allegedly has a list of good and bad guys. Investigators say Carson's name was on that note, but not in either category. However, it notes that he is one of a small number of Muslims serving in the House. In response to learning about the note, Representative Carson had this to say, quote, "Sadly, as a black man and a Muslim fighting for equality, I've often been the target of death threats by domestic terrorists. For years, I have warned my colleagues about the serious threat to national security by white nationalists, domestic terrorists. No American should ever be targeted for violence or death because of their race or creed," end quote. You can read the full statement on WRTV.com. And coming up at 6 o'clock, our Rafael Sanchez hears the representative's thoughts on how we move forward as a country.
It is 4:36 on your Wednesday. Now to new developments in the efforts to stop the spread of the coronavirus. More people may soon be able to get that COVID-19 vaccine. The federal government is asking states to speed up delivery and expand eligibility. States should immediately start vaccinating people ages 65 and older, as well as younger people with certain health problems. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar says that the government will no longer hold back the second dose of the 2-dose shots. Azar says that the government is now confident that Pfizer and Moderna are making enough of the vaccine, which will allow everyone to get their second dose.
Working for you, we asked the Indiana State Department of Health if they are prepared to expand vaccination efforts here. They say in part, quote, "The state has received more than 520,000 doses of the vaccine, and nearly all doses have been accounted for with scheduled appointments. We will continue to expand eligibility as quickly as vaccine supplies permit," end quote. Officials say they will continue with scheduled appointments. Those include vaccinating people 80 and older, long-term care residents, healthcare workers, and first responders. So it doesn't appear that there are immediate plans to expand Indiana's vaccination distribution to those as young as 65, but Governor Eric Holcomb will hold his COVID-19 vaccine later this afternoon and will bring you updates about those next in line to be vaccinated later this day.
And also happening today, Megan, the Hamilton Southeastern School Board is scheduled to meet and discuss a possible return to in-person learning for their students. Currently, all students K through 12 are doing their virtual instruction. As it stands now, students are expected to return to a form of in-person instruction next Tuesday, January 19th. In a message released last week, the superintendent said that while the cases are not spiking, the impact of holiday gatherings may still drive the numbers up. Fisher's Health Department currently lists the community at risk level 4, and with the 7-day positivity rate at just over 14%. So under that rating, virtual instruction there is still recommended.
Lauren, Indianapolis Public Schools is already looking ahead to next school year. Today, the district is hosting its 7th annual Showcase of Schools. It runs from 9 this morning through 9 tonight. This is video from last year's in-person event. Of course, today's event will be completely virtual due to the pandemic. Families can visit virtual booths for each IPS school to learn about their programs and extracurricular activities. You can also participate in live chats with school representatives. Those will be hosted from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 6 to 8 p.m. Coming up in the next half hour, our Alyssa Donovan joins us live with more on how you can participate in the event.
Well, Circle City is off to another violent start to the year. Straight ahead, details on the latest incidents and how you can help police.
And new guidelines are coming for international travel as the world continues to see a spike in COVID cases. What you need to know about the changes if you're flying soon.
And we are dealing with partly cloudy skies here this morning across parts of central Indiana. But as we expand out, our next storm system is starting to gain strength here across parts of the Pacific Northwest. And this has the potential to bring us some rain and snow. We'll let you know when it arrives. And we'll look ahead to your full weekend forecast as well coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
WRTV.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. The time right now is 4:42. The surge of deadly violence here in Indianapolis, Megan, it continues into this new year.
Lauren, Metro Police are investigating multiple deadly crimes across the city. 5 shootings happening within a span of just 4 hours yesterday, and at least 1 other person is seriously hurt. 3 of those people were shot around 6:45 Tuesday evening on Pasadena Street. That's near 38th and Shaylin on the northeast side. 1 woman was taken to the hospital. She is in critical condition now. A 2nd woman and a man were pronounced dead at the scene.
And here's what we know about the other cases. At around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, a man was shot on Hillside Avenue near 25th Street. That's on the near north side. He was taken to the hospital in extremely critical condition, but later died. Around the same time, a woman was shot and killed on Boulevard Place, just north of West 38th Street near Crown Hill Cemetery. And just before 5 o'clock, police say someone shot a man to death on Stratford Court at an apartment complex near 42nd and Post Road. And as always, if you have any information that could help police solve any of these cases, please call Crime Stoppers. That number is 317-262-TIPS. You can remain anonymous, and you may be eligible for a cash reward.
Lauren, major changes could be coming to Indiana law enforcement officers. House Bill 1006 passed out of committee Tuesday in an 11-0 vote. Under the proposal, a state law enforcement training board would establish mandatory de-escalation training guidelines for officers. The bill will also penalize officers who turn off body cameras, and the proposal bans chokeholds unless needed in rare circumstances. The bill's sponsor says it's meant to increase public trust and now moves onto the House floor for consideration.
Michigan's former governor could be facing charges in connection with the Flint water crisis. We can tell you the state's attorney general is planning on charging Rick Snyder and other state officials involved with involuntary manslaughter. Back in 2014, Snyder and his team ordered Flint to switch from City of Detroit water to Flint River water. That switch exposed more than 100,000 residents to elevated levels of lead. 90 people contracted Legionnaire's disease between 2014 and 2015. More than a dozen people died, and hundreds of pregnancies ended in stillbirths. Charges are expected to come down today or tomorrow.
In Washington, members of Congress now have to walk through metal detectors to get to the floor of the House of Representatives. They were installed on Tuesday. The change comes after growing concerns about certain representatives carrying weapons. Firearms are permitted in congressional offices, but not in the chamber. North Carolina Representative Madison Cawthorn said he violated that rule. He was armed when the rioters stormed the Capitol last week. Some members of Congress say they are concerned that others in the House or Senate will help protesters gain access to President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration week. And get ready to show proof of a negative COVID test if you're flying internationally. A new CDC order expands upon the similar one that's already in place for UK travelers coming into the country. That was in response to the discovery of a new COVID variant found in Britain. This rule applies to foreign visitors and U.S. citizens. The agency says it's waiting until January 26th to make the rule effective, and that will give airlines and travelers time to prepare. Well, time now is 4:46. Let's get a look at weather with Todd Glasson. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, good morning. As you walk out the door, it's not bad here this morning. We're talking about temperatures that are sitting in the 20s and 30s. Yesterday, we had those wind chills all the way down into the teens. So temperature-wise, we're doing a little bit better. And we have partly cloudy skies this morning. There's just a little moisture, as you see here off in the distance. It's kind of giving us a little bit of a damp feel out there, but we have no precipitation in the forecast for the day today. 29 is the official temperature at the airport in Indianapolis. Feels like 20 right now. The winds are still out of the southwest. Not super strong, but the wind direction is more important this morning than the wind speed, as that southwesterly wind helped to bring us into the 40s yesterday. It's keeping the temperatures up here overnight, and it'll also bring us back up into the 40s for high temperatures later on this afternoon. 20s to the east, 27, a pretty common number there from Greenfield to Richmond, 30 in Crawfordsville, 31 in Greencastle, Bloomington. Good morning to you in Monroe County. You're at 33 degrees. Here are your wind chill values, and you can just take a couple degrees off the actual temperature, and you find that we are sitting right now in the 20s anywhere you go across the area. Where do we go from here? Well, we're going back up into the mid 40s for your high temperature. We start off with partly cloudy skies today, as you see your hour-by-hour breakdown. But the overall trend, I think, this afternoon will be to bring the clouds back in a little bit across the area. So I would say increasing clouds is kind of the forecast term we'll use for later on this afternoon, with temperatures, again, right around 45 degrees by 3 p.m. and then falling down to 40 42 degrees as we head into the 5 o'clock hour. Mainly clear from Indy to the south, a little more in the way of cloud cover as you work your way into northern locations. But there's really not a whole lot going on in the weather forecast for today, with the exception of increasing clouds. And even tomorrow is going to be a pretty quiet day for the most part. This evening, mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures with the additional cloud cover a little bit warmer in the evening hours, as we'll be sitting generally right around 40 degrees. And then as we go into the day tomorrow, it's more of an overcast sky once again, but it's still going to be above normal temperature-wise, as we should be getting up to right around 43, 44 degrees for your afternoon high. However, tomorrow evening after sunset, that's when we'll have the potential to start to bring in some rain showers across the area. And there may be a little bit of a mix here, and this is the leading edge of some colder air that's going to be coming in that is going to take us all the way into the weekend. Friday 38, that high is probably pretty early in the day, and then we'll deal with snow showers off and on Friday evening and throughout the day on Saturday. Some minor accumulation will be possible. Not a major storm, but we could see slippery roads across the area. And then as we start Sunday and into next week, mostly cloudy again, Lauren, with temperatures in the 30s.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Things on the roads at this hour are very quiet. This is a live look at I-65. If you're traveling north of the downtown area, you shouldn't have any problems on the interstates. We'll continue to keep you updated if there are any crashes or trouble spots you can avoid.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, the Colts will have some big shoes to fill on the offensive line next season. Anthony Costanzo has announced that he is retiring from football. The 10-year veteran tackle spent his entire career with the Colts. He was selected in the first round of the 2011 draft. He still had one season remaining on his contract extension that he signed just last year, but instead he is leaving the game after missing significant time with injuries in the last 2 years. That includes a season-ending ankle injury this past season.
Yeah, I guess the decision, I mean, I waited to make the decision finally, obviously after the season here. But, I mean, I contemplated it last year, and, I've kind of been thinking about it and trying to evaluate things. And yeah, it just seemed that it was the right time. And you know what, after doing it, and I'm very, very pleased with my decision. I feel good about it.
Costanzo was the last player on the Colts roster who played with Peyton Manning, of course, and was drafted by former GM Bill Polian.
Well, the Indy sports calendar already has a big event on schedule for 2022. The College Football Playoff National Championship coming right here to Lucas Oil Stadium. The committee is kicking this off in a big way. It's a one-year countdown. It all happened on Tuesday, and it's just another thing in the long list of big-time college championships hosted right here in the Circle City. Miami hosted Monday night's game, which saw Alabama defeat Ohio State, and they had a crowd of just 20% capacity there due to the pandemic. But Indy's organizers are making plans for as many as 100,000 fans to visit downtown a year from now if everything works out.
What our approach has been is we're going to plan this event as though it's going to be happening the way that we want it to happen, and then putting contingency plans behind that associated with what the public health environment may be, what the weather may be. But our initial plan is to go big.
Well, the CFP final will have an impact that goes far beyond just a football game. It's expected to bring about $150 million to the city.
Ooh, another big deal. Thanks, Lauren. Well, it's time to start thinking about Girl Scout cookies coming up. The new way you can order in the middle of a pandemic so you can still help the Scouts and stay safe.
WRTV.
It is January, so that means, Megan, it is Girl Scout cookie time.
Bring it on. Like so many organizations, though, Lauren, this year the Scouts are making adjustments as the pandemic continues. The Girl Scouts of Central Indiana are now working with Grubhub. That means they can offer contactless delivery of your favorite cookies to your front door, and the partnership is also being used as a learning opportunity.
We're super excited for this innovative partnership, and girls are involved in the Grubhub. And so we always look at the skills girls are learning through this entrepreneurship program, and Grubhub and just organizations like that, have their own back end, they have their own technology systems. So girls are learning that system. And so this is just another layer of ways in which they've expanded their horizon. So we're super excited about it.
We're excited too. Local Girl Scout CEO Danielle Shockey says Grubhub will waive its delivery fee for the program. Grubhub sales start January 22nd. Note that down. And starting next month, you'll see socially distant or contact-free in-person cookie booths at participating locations. Todd, how about those cookies?
Yeah, you asked me what kind I like, and I gave you a one-word answer. I said all.
All of them. Yes.
I am not picky when it comes to cookies. All right, outside right now. We are talking about partly cloudy skies right now, 45 degrees. The clouds will increase, though, as we go throughout the afternoon. And once we get past this afternoon, it's kind of another cloudy stretch of weather that's going to take us all the way into the weekend and beyond. It's still above normal today with temperatures in the 40s, and tomorrow we're at 43 as well. We start off with some rain showers maybe as early as tomorrow evening and then going into the overnight hours on Friday. Friday morning, there could be some slick spots by the time we get to the morning commute as we start to deal with some snow showers. We'll break it all down for you coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.